Welcome to Straight from the Paws, hosted from Forever Paws Animal Shelter. Today we have a very special program for you. And my co-host here again is Beverly Andrade, and she's going to tell you why we're calling this segment Home for the Holidays. Bev?
Hi Gail, thanks for welcoming me to the show today. Home for the Holidays is a name that we came up with to highlight some of our special animals that were at the shelter and are now home for the holidays. A couple of our animals that are going to be on the show today, we have 3 dogs and we have 3 cats. These were all very special animals when they came into Forever Paws Animal Shelter. Our first guest today is Liz and her dog Frosty. Frosty came into the shelter approximately December of 2011. Frosty came to us as a pit bull mixed breed into the shelter with a very bad damaged front leg. We think he was hit by a car and the leg started to heal. When we brought him to the vet said there was no saving the leg, so the leg had to be amputated. It's not traumatic for a dog to have 3 legs, so Frosty did okay in the beginning. The problem with Frosty was he was not getting along with the other animals at the shelter. The staff had their work cut out for him. They ended up taking Frosty gradually into a play group, using the outside play yards to put Frosty in with all the other dogs. And eventually, Frosty became quite a handful with the other dogs, and they had a great time together out in the play yard. The next thing was trying to get Frosty adopted. So being a handicapped dog, some people were automatically not interested in Frosty. They wanted a dog with 4 legs. But we do have a volunteer at the shelter whose name is Liz, and she saw Frosty every time she came into the shelter. And she decided that it was time to take Frosty home into foster care. So please welcome with us now Liz and her dog Frosty. Hi Liz, welcome to our show today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming. We really appreciate seeing Frosty. I know he does go back to the shelter to visit, but we don't always get to see him. So thank you very much. Liz, how long have you had Frosty in your home now?
About 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years.
I remember I got him my sophomore year of high school, and I'm now almost a sophomore in college.
There you go. Okay. And that was a bit of a concern because you knew Frosty's background, but you were a young lady and you weren't old enough to adopt from the shelter, so you had to convince a few people.
I did.
What happened with that?
My grandparents were very opposed to having a pit bull. They actually didn't like pit bulls at all. What I did, because I love Frosty so much, I literally wrote a 10-page essay all about pit bulls. I started volunteering, helping training dogs, started working at the Wiggle Room Doggy Daycare in Middletown. I literally had to drag my grandparents to Forever Paws to meet Frosty. The second my grandparents in general met him, it was just all over at that point. But I do still have my binder this thick full of facts about pit bulls just to convince them.
That was great. And, you know, it took them a while, you know, once you get acclimated to your home. But how was he being acclimated on just the 3 legs?
He's done really well with the 3 legs. He still kind of has a little bit of trouble. We have a raised ranch, so it's really hard for him to get up and down the stairs. So I carry him a lot, which he's heavy.
You can see that.
But as far as the 3-leg thing goes, he's about 8 years old now, and he runs just as fast as a couple of my friends who are in track. He does really, really well with running. The only issue is walking him. He has his steady pace, and it just so happens to be a lot faster than our typical walk. But that's because he's constantly bobbing. So I don't try to force him to learn how to walk properly just because he has that bob. That I just don't feel he needs to be corrected right now.
That's great. I mean, he seems like he's very healthy right now and doing well. There's no other problems with Frosty at all?
No, he's actually doing really well. The only thing that I found was he's a pit bull. He has skin allergies. He's allergic to greens and chicken.
Okay.
Which is like the worst things to be allergic to. But I found him a fish food, well, a food with a lot of fish in it, which helped with the omega-3s. His skin and coat is really, really nice. Other than that, we've been working on his dog aggression. He has a couple of dog friends. He's got a girlfriend, a little doggy girlfriend. She's an American bulldog. Other than that, he's not so great with little dogs still. But I mean, he's not near a lot of dogs anyways. I take him out when I take him out.
And so he's more part of the family. He's really a family dog.
He is.
I know we've got a great picture of Frosty playing in the water. So he likes to go in the water in the summertime and hang out. And, you know, he looks like he's just any other dog out having a super time in the water. And he seems very content. Now, he does go back to the shelter and visit at Forever Paws. Does he seem to be aware of where he's going?
He likes car rides wherever they are. When we get there, he gets really, really excited because of all the smells. It's the same as when we go to Petco. All those smells just drive him nuts. So when we do visit, it's little to maybe 10 minutes tops. Just because once he starts sniffing things and once he knows that there's another dog in there, he will not stop. He meets that other dog. Oh, baby. Other than that, he loves the water. That's probably his favorite thing. We have an in-ground pool. Frosty, sit. Can you be a good boy? We have an in-ground pool in our backyard, and it's really cute because I bought him a life vest, and he will jump off the diving board into that pool.
Oh, awesome.
And it's great. He swims really, really well for a guy with 3 legs, but like I said, I got him a life vest just in case.
Wow.
He's really rambunctious.
He looks like he
over
wants
here
to.
right now. I
Looks
think
like
he's ready to go for a
tired
walk.
of talking to us, and he's really done a great job. You've done an awesome job with him, and thank you for coming today, and also thank you for visiting with Frosty when you go down, because I know the staff always tells us when we go in, oh, Frosty stopped by to visit, and it's like, oh, that's super. So, good luck. Thank you very much for coming and bringing Frosty, and bring him back any other time.
Yes, and thank you so much. It looks like he's a spoiled baby.
He is.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Liz. Our next guest that went home for the holidays is the story of miracles. Miracles happen in the holiday season, we know, but this particular miracle happened in the summer of 2012. Animal control officers were on the street waiting for a dog that they were supposed to pick up when they saw a dog come flying out a 3rd-story window. The dog landed on the concrete sidewalk and had a misplaced hip, a fractured hip, and scratches, and animal control came running over to the dog. They also found out that this dog, who was up on the 3rd floor in the tenement building, when they went up there, there were 2 other dogs up in that apartment too. There was a little dog named Petey and a puppy named Gracie. These 3 dogs were left to starve in an apartment building. They survived for over 2 months with nothing to eat except trash, couch cushions, and any litter that they could find to put into their stomachs. They also survived on toilet water. If that toilet bowl cover was down, these dogs would not have made it. Miracle also dug holes in the apartment trying to escape. Finally, I guess she took the leap of faith and jumped out of the 3rd floor window. When she came to Forever Paws, Miracle was emaciated. She was injured from her fall. She had to have major surgery. And she also made it on all the news channels about her injury and her desperate will to survive. So I'd like to have you welcome today our guest, Claire, and her dog, Miracle. This is Miracle. Welcome to our show today. Come on, Miracle.
Miracle, as you can see, is very curious and interested in everything that's going on. So, Claire, let me ask you, how long have you had Miracle in your family?
I think we've had her about 2 years.
About 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we were talking before the show, and you were telling me how you found out about Miracle. Could you tell us a little bit about that story?
All right. One day I was at work, and somebody that I work with said to me, was telling me the story about this dog that had jumped out of a 3rd floor window and had lived with that. There's a policeman nearby, and somehow they had taken him to try to see if they could do anything for him. And I said, oh, that's so sad. You know, the poor little thing left alone and jumped out of a 3rd floor window. It just hit me, really. And then it wasn't until maybe, 6 months later, close to a year later, that we had another dog, and she had to be put to sleep. And then one day, maybe like 2 weeks later, my granddaughter showed me her cell phone, and she said, look at this dog. And I said, oh, it's cute. You know, I wasn't ready to get another dog yet, but she wanted to go see where it was. So we went, and we saw her, and she was for us. So we ended up trying
And she's very happy.
bring her home. She was much thinner than she is now, but she's not behaving today.
Well, that's okay.
Well, she's on TV, so it does a few things for dogs, I guess, being on TV.
Well,
She's really a good
strange
girl.
place. Oh yeah, she's a sweetheart. I mean, she really, really is.
So she's part of your family at home?
Oh yeah, it's my granddaughter and myself. We live together.
Come on.
And
I think she wants to go to your granddaughter.
that's the other one. We'll let her go. And But, no, she's a sweetheart. She really is.
And now, when your granddaughter's not home, I hear that you and Miracle have some good times taking little naps together and maybe a little
Oh, yeah.
snack.
Well, we like the couch.
You like the couch?
Yes, we do like the couch.
So Miracle, too, has become a couch potato.
She's a couch potato, and she likes to put her head on my knee. So she has a certain position she likes to lay on the couch. It's so that she can put her head on the knee and look out.
Wow.
And so, I mean, she has her, yes, we do.
So would we say that Miracle has become spoiled in your home?
Oh, definitely.
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 Okay.
Definitely. We have to say that.
We would have to say that, and she's become part of the family. And I know that there's a couple of other animals next door or something, and you say she gets along with the other family member animals?
Yes, she does. They've got a new dog next door also, and at this point, we're sort of like want them to be friends, so they just sort of bark at each other right now, but we're going to give them more of an opportunity to mingle.
Do you have any other pets at home?
No, what do I have?
You have Molly.
Oh, my, I have another dog. I forgot all
Amber.
about. She's been with us a lot longer. She's been with us more.
And
almost
Miracle
over
gets
10
along
years.
well with the other
Oh,
dog?
oh yeah, she's Cocker Spaniel.
Oh,
And
okay.
Cocker
That's
Spaniels is a
wonderful.
little like, they have their own way, but they get along fine.
Oh, that's
They
great.
do, yeah.
Thank you so much, both of you, for coming.
very welcome.
And of course, Miracle, it's always great to see him. Don't forget to send pictures and bring him back to visit, her back, excuse me, to visit at the shelter, because we love seeing Miracle at the shelter.
Okay.
Thank you
I'd
both
be
for
more than
coming.
happy
Thank you.
to.
Thank you
you.
for bringing Miracle and for adopting Miracle. It was a blessing.
She's been, I don't know, she's just been so good for us. She really
That's great.
has.
Thank you.
So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next guest on our Home for the Holidays show is a little dog named Noble. Noble came into the shelter in August of 2012. He was actually found in a garden in someone's backyard, and they had contacted the animal control officer. Animal control officers knew the dog, and they brought the dog back to the owner, who at that time surrendered the dog, did not want the dog anymore. So Noble came into the shelter. When Noble arrived at the shelter, they found that Noble was a little bit underweight, it had malnutrition, also had no teeth, and was very nervous in the environment of the shelter. When they started to feed Noble, they realized that Noble wasn't able to eat some of the dog food that they had given him, so they had to change the dog food and put it on a special platter that Noble was able to eat. Then Noble gobbled the food down, and because of that, they named the dog Gobbles at the shelter. Also, you'll notice that Noble has a sac under his chin, and they thought the sac was a cancerous tumor. One vet did say that. But come to find out, it was a salivary gland tumor, which was not cancerous. And now we had a dog with this little thing hanging under the neck, and we figured out, all right, what are we going to do with Noble? Along comes Beth. Beth is a volunteer that has been around the shelter for many years. She also has done some fostering for us. And as she walks into the shelter one day and sees this dog, the idea comes, I'm fostering this dog. So when she takes Noble home in foster care, guess what happens? She falls in love. So please welcome our guest, Beth, and her dog, Noble. Hi, Beth.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Beth. Thank you for coming in with Noble. And we know Noble's a very special guy, and he always comes by and visits at the shelter and has a great time. But can you tell us a little bit about when you first saw Noble and you thought about fostering him?
Well, when I first came to the shelter, I was going to walk dogs that day. Erin said, do you know anybody that might want to foster this little guy? And she brought him out, and I said, well, let me take him for a walk. And when I did, I said, this little guy has to come home with me. He was just too precious and too sweet to leave there. So, and he's been with us ever since.
That was in August of 2012.
Now, he went into foster care, so we say. Now, how long was it foster before we knew that that was his forever home?
Well, he came to foster in August, September timeframe, and he started having a couple little medical issues around the holidays. So I was trying to work with pet partners, but unfortunately, because of the holiday schedule, I wasn't able to get there. So I took him to my regular vet, who was working with me to make sure that he got what he needed, and was working with me for lower cost options compared to mainline veterinary care. And I said, well, if we're going to be able to do this, then he's mine for forever. So that's how all that happened. It was right before Christmas.
Right before Christmas. Well,
Home
that was
for
a
the
nice-
holidays.
Home for the holidays, great Christmas present for yourself. And how was Noble at the home?
Oh, he just fit right in. My husband was a little nervous because we had adopted 2 cats from Forever Paws. And he said, oh, if we bring a dog home, it's going to be pandemonium. And he walked in, and the cats took one look at him and said, oh, well, so. And Noble loves everybody. So it was just a ready-made family, all from Forever Paws.
And we appreciate that. You've been with Forever Paws for a volunteer, I think, quite a few years, like Bev alluded to before. And, you know, some people say, well, I can't volunteer or I can't foster because I'm afraid I'm going to take them all home. But that wasn't the case until you found a special animal, correct?
That's correct. I just knew that it was time for me to bring someone else home, and I kept visiting at the shelter for my cats. And when I found the right fit, there they were, and they've been with me. My cats have been with me for 3 years now, and Noble's been for 2. He was going to be, as we had talked about, a temporary foster, but he's just, I'm a dog person in my heart, and I missed having a dog, and Noble came along just at the right time.
Wonderful.
How is Noble's health?
Well, again, he had a few medical issues. He has a low thyroid that brought us to the vet in the first place because he was having little mini seizures. And he's on a human thyroid medication that manages that beautifully. And then some other tests that we did revealed that he had a kidney disease. And my vet prescribed human blood pressure medication for that. And he gets those pills twice a day, morning and evening, and he has no problems taking his medication because they're rolled up in deli roast beef. So
Good for him. That's
and he's
wonderful.
been beautiful ever since. We go for walks all the time, sometimes for as long as 2 miles. And considering he's almost 17 now, that's he's doing incredibly well.
Well, thank you for bringing Noble by today at the studio for Straight for the Paws to visit. We really appreciate that. We'll keep in tune and see what's going on with Noble. Thanks again, and thank you for coming in, Noble. We appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
And we're going to take a little break right now.
That's low, that's low.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks. Visit us at stoptextstoprex.org.
Welcome back, everyone, to Straight from the Paws. Now we're going to be talking with our feline visitors today. Bev?
Home for the Holidays is our show today, and I want you to meet Dell and her cat, Carson. Dell is one of our volunteers that goes out with our community outreach coordinator, Diane, and Carson was one of the cats that always went to the nursing homes. Being a very mellow, sweet, lovable little boy, Carson was easily put into the lap of our senior citizens at some of the nursing homes that he visited. However, Carson had to go home too. And Dell, our guest today, thank you very much for adopting this beautiful, sweet cat. He's gorgeous.
He is a great-looking boy. Dell, how long has Carson been living in your home now?
Exactly 2 years. I adopted him in November 2012.
Exactly 2 years. Wow, you've got that down to a science. Now, let's just talk about Carson a little bit. How's he doing in the household?
He's fantastic. He's kind of the king of the hill, but in a very laid-back way.
Okay.
I have another male and 2 females, and he's just fits right in. He's spends most of his time with me, I'll say.
Okay. Has Carlson been doing any more visits to any nursing homes or anything like being a little ambassador anymore?
He did up until a year ago. He was visiting my friend's mother on a weekly basis at South Point Nursing Home, and I would let him out of the carrier. He would get onto the bed and walk right over to Jen and just let her pet him for the hour or so that we were there, and she was thrilled, and so was he.
Do you think you might be taking him out in the future and continue his job, or is he retired?
No, he's not retired. I think he still has a long way to go, and they welcome me back at South Point anytime, and then if I can set up other nursing homes on my own or with a little bit of help, I will do it.
Well, that's good.
This cat is amazing. Look at this cat. This is perfect for a home for the holidays. Anybody would want to take this cat home. He is absolutely mellow.
Now, did you name Carson?
No, that's a shelter name,
That was his shelter name. Okay.
and it seemed to fit him because of his age and his demeanor.
Okay, all right. Now, how, when he's at home, does he have any activity at all, or is he always just like this?
No, he runs around quite a bit.
Okay.
You know, the girls will chase him, the female cats, all over the house, and, he will run just to escape them.
He will want to escape that. I mean, he looks like he's just so mellow. I can't believe how, I've never seen a cat as mellow as this cat.
Now, Del, there is really no such thing as a therapy cat, is there?
There isn't, not that I know of, because I spoke to one of the officers at the shelter who happens to have 2 dogs. I think one, if not both, are therapy dogs, and she had never heard of a therapy cat. And if anyone would have, she would have. She would have been knowledgeable. But I have kind of just labeled him as a therapy cat because he is. He just doesn't have the papers.
Well, and that's okay. Sometimes we don't need the papers that go along with that. Sometimes we find that we don't need the pedigree, we just need the perfect cat. And I think you have found the perfect cat.
This is
Now,
amazing.
who found this cat? Was it Diane that you work with, or did you find the cat at the shelter?
No, as a matter of fact, it was Diane, because we went, this was at the time we were doing adoption days at Building 19 in New Bedford. And we went there one day, and I mean, we happened to take him out, and he was in different people's laps, and he was just like this. And I said to Diane, he's incredible, absolutely incredible. So the next day I thought about it. I spoke to Erin, and I said, I want him. So within a day or so, I brought him home.
Wow, that's a great story. Now he's in his forever home,
Yes.
and he was at his forever home for Christmas time. That's
Yes.
wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you for all that you do at the shelter. We greatly appreciate all that you do in helping Diane and, of course, taking Carson on. And now we know Carson may be around for another gig somewhere else. Thank you.
Thank you,
You're
Del, for
welcome.
coming on our show today.
My pleasure.
Our next and last guest for this show, Home for the Holidays, is Miss Susan Jones over here with her little babies, Mary and Minnie. Mary and Minnie have quite the little history. They actually were born in foster care in my home, and when I had to have surgery, Mary and Minnie and their siblings and their mommy all went over to Susan's house to continue with their foster care. And the story will go from there. So I will now go to Susan.
Yeah,
Would you tell us a little bit about our girls, Mary and Minnie?
yeah. So our girls, Mary and Minnie, one of the things that we had noticed even in the foster care with Beverly and Gail was that they really didn't seem to be progressing as quickly as the 2 brothers and sister. And so through that, we took one of the larger cats, Mitch, and we took Minnie. And at the veterinarian, what they discovered was that there were multiple pregnancies for Georgia, which meant that the other 3 went full term, but Mary and Minnie did not. So they were preemies. So with that, they need a little more attention and care. And so what we did was we had to, every week, weigh them, make sure that they were progressive. And Minnie was also diagnosed with a murmur. And so as you can see, you wouldn't know, and they are identical twins.
They are identical twin cats.
Which is also unusual.
Very, very unusual.
So although their looks are that way, their personalities are different. Although Minnie is the one with the murmur, she's the one who's a little more rambunctious, and Mary kind of takes her cues from Minnie.
Mary's just mellowing out in my arms.
Yeah,
So, Susan, this was the first time that you were a foster mom,
it was.
and probably the last, because now
Right.
you have these 2 young ladies here. And how
Right.
old are they now?
So they're just shy of 18 months. They were born on June 6th of 2013, and they're doing very well. We were concerned when she was really diagnosed to really separate them because they were just so close. So they really kind of do everything together. They're always together. And so we did have, the other 3 were adopted as well as Mom, Georgia, but these are adopted too. They're just mine.
And I remember when we first decided that there was something wrong with these 2 kittens, I took Minnie with me, with one of her other siblings, one of the males, to the vet. And the vet looked at them and said, "These are siblings?" I went, "Yes, they were born the same day."
Right.
Technically, the 3 other cats were born one day. We went to bed, there were 3 cats. Woke up in the morning, there were 5 cats. There were 2 more. So they could have been actually born after midnight, we don't know. But we're giving them a June 6th birthday. The vet could not believe the size difference between Minnie and one of her siblings that I took with her to the vet. So these 2 little critters over here, being identical twins, caused a problem for Susan. Would you like to explain to our audience what the problem was?
So the problem was that when they are identical twins. So what happened, we have Mary and Minnie, and Mary is here, Minnie is here. And what happened was, always took them together to all their appointments. And as a result, there was a little confusion as to who was who.
Maybe Minnie's going back in her grave.
She gets too scared. All right.
Yes.
So, sorry.
So Mary was, Mary's there and this is Minnie, and there was confusion about who was who.
Right, there was a little bit of confusion because we always took them together, so who I was calling Minnie, they were actually thinking that they were calling Mary. So with that kind of a discrepancy, we actually took and had to clarify it because Minnie is on hot medication. And so there was definitely a little bit of confusion there, but luckily, no harm, no foul. And they always Mary's always with.
Yeah, Mary's very passive.
She is.
She's a good girl.
And Minnie always is in purple, so there's no confusion.
I think one of the things we should also mention today is that Susan is also the vice president of Forever Paws, and she's been a great deal of help to the shelter and does a great deal with the cats. And, you know, Susan, when you decided to take on the adoption, I know you had to convince your husband a little bit about that, but, you know, when you get, you get 2, and what difference does it make if it's 1 or 2, right? But you have a couple of other cats at home as well.
Yeah.
So how did that work out?
So that's worked out fine as well. They have 2 brothers, Max and Bianco, and they chase each other around. You know, although you would never know that Minnie really has some kind of a heart condition because she really kind of takes the lead on everything.
And just for the audience to know, Minnie just doesn't have a little heart condition.
No.
Minnie has a severe heart condition, which is one of the reasons why they did not separate the 2 girls. They kept them together at all times. They go places together. They travel together to the vet. It's important to keep Minnie stress-free, although she's the one that seems to cause all the stress, I think.
Yeah, it's a ventricular septal defect is what they call it.
That's a mouthful.
Right, and what it really is, it's a lack of a communication between the heart valves, and so it's really the blood is bypassing, and so that's a little bit more of a concern.
And I think what we want to do is let our studio audience know that because these cats were in foster care at the very beginning, I believe that's what saved Minnie's life, because all the kittens that would go normally out to be spayed or neutered, Minnie wouldn't have made it. If this wasn't diagnosed ahead of time, if she was just brought back to the shelter and treated like all the other kittens and had her spay, she might not have made it through the spay. But by knowing ahead of time what her condition was, the doctor that did the spay, I believe, did it quickly, very quickly.
Yep.
Thank you, Susan, for coming in today. We'll
Thank
hopefully
you.
we'll get you back here as a board member or something else with us. We greatly appreciate that. At this time, I want to thank all our guests and their pets for coming in and telling us about their forever homes and all the great work that's been done with these animals. There are many more stories like this at Forever Paws, and there are still animals right now, waiting for their forever homes that have their own story to tell. So please, take the time, visit the shelter, visit our website, and remember the animals at Christmas time as well. Thank you very much, and happy holidays from all of us at Forever Paws.
Happy
Animal Shelter.
holidays.
Holidays.
Thank you.